We live in an age where you can access anything except clarity, where you can scroll endlessly through people's lives and still feel completely disconnected from your own. For many young people today, the future feels like a fog, not because they're lazy, not because they lack ambition, but because they're constantly overstimulated, emotionally drained, and silently comparing themselves to lives that may not even be real. This isn't just a generational phase. It's a silent crisis that's been building over years, and we rarely talk about it honestly. So in this video, we're going to break it down. We'll talk about the pressure to succeed, the impossible expectations, the chaos of modern life, and, more importantly, what makes this generation stronger than it may seem. Let's start with the root of it all, social media. You open your phone, and within 5 seconds, you're seeing people your age, or younger, posting about their companies, their fitness transformations, their six-figure lifestyle, or their vacations to places you've never even heard of. It's subtle at first. You tell yourself, good for them. But somewhere in your brain, a whisper starts. What am I doing with my life? That whisper grows louder over time. It feeds off repetition. And social media is a machine built on repetition. You start comparing your real life, your behind the scenes, with someone else's highlight reel. But here's the truth. Most of those successes are either exaggerated, temporary, or simply not what they seem. That online entrepreneur showing you a Lambo might be renting it. That influencer living their best life may be deeply unhappy, anxious, or even burnt out. But you don't see the burnout. You don't see the debt. You don't see the panic behind the camera. You just see the outcome, filtered, rehearsed, and optimized for envy. And so, the damage begins. You start rushing your own process. You doubt your progress. You start thinking, I should be further along. But further along, according to who? When everyone online is 23, rich, fit, in love, and building an empire, anything slower than instant success feels like failure. This is not just toxic, it's unrealistic, and it steals your peace without even asking permission. But the truth is, real success, the kind that lasts, is slow, quiet, and often invisible at first. And comparing yourself to curated fantasies is a guaranteed way to kill your motivation. We don't just compare achievements, we compare lifestyles, aesthetics, brands, vibes. And now more than ever, young people feel pushed to look successful, even if they're struggling privately. We've entered an era where people are financing their image, not their life, buying luxury clothes with credit, leasing cars they can't afford, renting Airbnbs for the photo, not the experience. And what's the reward? A few likes, a few comments, a brief illusion of being on top. But the cost? Financial instability, anxiety, detachment from your real values. Because when your identity is built on how others perceive you, your self-worth becomes fragile. You become addicted to appearance, and appearance is never enough. This isn't just a personal issue, it's cultural. We've normalized status theater, pretending you have it all together while quietly falling apart. You feel like you have to keep up, or get left behind, even if it means sabotaging your future stability just to look put together right now. But here's the irony. Most people aren't even paying attention. That expensive watch, that brand name jacket, that curated lifestyle, it gives you 10 seconds of visual status, and then everyone moves on. Meanwhile, you're left with the bill, emotionally and financially. And deep down, you know it. If your peace depends on being validated, you'll never be free. Let's talk about work. For most young people today, the path to a stable career feels less like a road and more like a maze. There's no clear direction, no guarantees, and no universal rulebook. You're told to chase your passion, but also to be practical, to stand out, but also to fit in, to be patient, but to succeed early. And in between all those contradictions, there's reality. A competitive job market, rapidly changing industries, and expectations that often feel overwhelming. This doesn't mean there's no opportunity. In fact, there's more opportunity than ever before, but it's no longer structured, it's not linear, and that uncertainty alone can feel like failure. Many young people today are doing amazing things, learning new skills, building projects, freelancing, adapting. But because there's no traditional path anymore, It's easy to feel like you're behind just because you're taking a different route. The truth is, the world is evolving faster than the systems we were raised in. And that creates friction, not because you're not capable, but because you're navigating a world that's still catching up to your mindset. This isn't a dead end. It's just unfamiliar terrain. And the people who learn to walk through that uncertainty, not run from it, are the ones who end up defining the future. Here's the part that rarely gets said. Despite all the noise, all the pressure, and all the uncertainty, Gen Z is one of the most capable generations the world has ever seen. Why? Because you were born into complexity. You grew up adapting to new platforms, new ways of learning, new tools, new expectations. You've had to think fast, learn fast, and relearn even faster. You're not just tech savvy, you're tech native. You don't just use the internet, you navigate it like a second language, and that gives you a kind of agility that most systems still haven't figured out. You're also transversal thinkers, meaning you don't stay in one lane. You explore, you mix skills, you combine creativity with logic, emotional intelligence with strategy. You don't want jobs, you want impact. And that mindset, it's powerful. It's easy to feel lost when the map doesn't match the terrain. But what if that just means you're meant to build a new map? Because here's the truth. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to follow someone else's timeline. And you're not behind. You're just evolving faster than the system around you. The challenges you face aren't signs of failure. They're signals that you're trying to grow in a world that hasn't fully caught up. And yes, the pressure is real, but so is your potential. You have the tools, you have the capacity, and most importantly, you have the mindset. Uncertainty is part of the process, but if you can stay grounded, stay curious, and keep moving forward, you won't just survive this moment in history, you'll help shape what comes next.